is not the night to be politically correct. Tonight is not the night to be a fence-sitter. Tonight is not a night to drown yourself in the grays. Tonight is the night to call out black and white. Tonight is the night to ask the tough questions. Why is the Modi government still not naming Pakistan? Did we falter at the very end of being just about to unravel the big terror plot? Are we as a nation getting so woke that we are not able to call out Islamist terrorism? I come to you tonight with the real questions no other channel will ask. Did the agencies falter at the last minute? Did the security agencies falter in the last leg of what could have been a very successful anti-terrorist operation? When Umar was absconding, Dr. Umar Nabi, the part of the terror module that actually carried out the detonation. Here he is, 36-year-old Umar Nabi, a dangerous Islamist terrorist, a doctor, an OGW, a sleeper cell, a detonator rolled into one, ladies and gentlemen. When we were so close to catching him, when we were so close and we had Dr. Adil Rathar, Muzammil Shakil, all wrapped up, the evidence was with us. Why did we not close it successfully? Why could we not stop the Chandni Chowk terror attack from happening? Ladies and gentlemen, my second question tonight is that if the information of the Faridabad raid yesterday morning had been kept secret because the raid happened at 6 o'clock in the morning and it continued, and the Faridabad police did not make any attempt to keep it secret, they talked about it. In fact, you had reporters walk all over the site. It was a public affair. In which other nation, ladies and gentlemen, is an anti-terrorist operation a public affair, a media spectacle? And don't blame the media. You called the media, you allowed the media reported. Ladies and gentlemen, the police was on high alert. If the Faridabad raid, where 350 kilograms of ammonium nitrate had been found in one location stored there, if it had been kept secret, could Umar have been caught? Could the whole radicalized Umar I-20 Hyundai car which walked through, could it have been stopped? Did Umar in panic carry out the terrorist attack because he knew that Faridabad had been exposed? If the Faridabad angle had been kept under wraps, if the media had not been told, ladies and gentlemen, think about it tonight, I'm asking the right question. If the media had not been told, if the 6 a.m. raid was never known, if the Faridabad police had been quiet, and if an element of absolute stealth had been kept over the Faridabad operation, could the Chandni Chowk terrorist attack at 6:57 p.m. have been avoided, ladies and gentlemen? Everything is linked. The third question tonight, imagine a radicalized Muslim woman terrorist with an AK-57 in her hand, walking and shooting at people. This country becomes so woke. We become such a country of fence-sitters. We don't want to talk about radicalized Muslim women. We don't want to talk about radicalized Muslim women terrorists. We don't want to talk about Dr. Shaheen Shaheed, because if you talk about Dr. Shaheen Shaheed, you will be told tonight in this country by a bunch of hypocrites that you're targeting a community. No, I'm not, but I'm talking about the reality. That on the 24th of October, Masood Azhar made a call for Muslim women to turn terrorists, and it is women like Dr. Shaheen Shaheed who returned the call with a call for weapons and terrorism. How long, ladies and gentlemen, will we be quiet about the traitors within the Mir Jafars? How long will we look away and say, let's be politically correct and not talk about the Al-Falah unit? What is this Al-Falah University? Why were there so many terrorists associated with the Al-Falah University? Did anyone in the Al-Falah University not know about the terrorism that was being planned and operated and epicentered on the perimeter of the national capital region of this great country? So tonight is not a night to be quiet. I repeat tonight. It is a night to ask, how do people like these, how do traitors like these, how do criminals like these, how do Islamist terrorists like these, and yes, I will say so repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and you must say after me, for these are Islamist terrorists. They say terrorism has no religion. I agree, terrorism has no religion. But these four criminals, masterminds, terrorists, these four scoundrels, ladies and gentlemen, these four jihadis, self-proclaimed, they did have an ideology. And that was one ideology, that anyone who has a different point of view must be eliminated and killed. These people are working for Pakistan. I call upon our government to name Pakistan. We can't be, if we have said that an act of terrorism is an act of war, tonight is the night to make that absolutely clear with our actions. How long will we allow OGW and sleeper cells in this country from Faridabad, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Kashmir, Meerut, Saharanpur, Hapur, Rampur? How long will we allow this OGW sleeper cell network to continue and say, oh, but these are opinions, these are people who stand within the circumference of Indian democracy like termites to eat it from within? Why was there an attempted ricin poisoning in Gandhinagar, ladies and gentlemen? The Gujarat anti-terror squad arrested a man called Ahmad Mohiuddin Sayyid, a 35-year-old MBBS doctor from Hyderabad who wanted to carry out a biochemical terrorist plot with transnational linkages. This MBBS doctor, trained in China, was experimenting with a very lethal toxin called ricin extracted from castor seeds. He wanted to do a reconnaissance of the high footfall public areas This man is a dangerous man. He is an Islamist terrorist. Islamist terrorist. And all of this was happening, ladies and gentlemen, while on the other side of their border, the favorite man of these traitors, Asif Munir, because I truly believe that these traitors owe their allegiance only to Pakistan. Pick them up and throw them to Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, send them to Pakistan. We are not a nation interested in reforming jihadis. Kill the jihadis, eliminate the jihadis, or throw them out and send them back to Pakistan where they belong. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, Munir got the constitution changed in Pakistan to become Field Marshal for life. Is it accidental and that on that day, this act of terrorism happened? Narendra Modi's proclamation, which we believe in, every act of terrorism will be considered an act of war. This doctrine is being put to test. We look upon our government to translate these words into action, to put the blame where it is due. Do not buy for time. And do not think that as time fades, memory fades. It doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. We want action. The government said Operation Sindoor is still on. We believe the government. Operation Sindoor is still on. That's why we expect the government, with fullest of sincerity, to make it clear that what we said, an act of terrorism would be an act of war, will be put to the test, that we will follow it up with action extremely soon.